What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and I'm so sorry I've been away for such a long time. A lot of you guys wanted me to post, and I didn't have time, or I just was not able to. My internet was down, and I had some other things to deal with, but I'm back now. For those of you guys that are new to the channel, my name is Kid Blue. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel for all things NFL, all things New York Giants exclusively. Be sure to check out the Undrafted Analyst podcast every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. With all that being said, let's get on to my second mock draft for the 2019 NFL Draft. So this mock draft, again, is not going to have any trades. I wanted to put trades in here, but I made this mock draft about probably a week or so ago after the OBJ trade, after most of free agency and things like that. So I wanted to get this one out there before I make my third one. So my drafts with trades, I'm going to have that in the next mock draft. So mock draft 3.0, I want to get at least 2 more mock drafts out before draft day. We still have a good 40 days left, something like that, but let's get right on to it. So number 1 overall, this is the first mock draft in which I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting Kyler Murray. Now I think this is a very interesting situation for the draft in general, because once Kyler Murray is drafted, the whole draft shakes up. The top 4 guys people want on their team, you're talking about Quinnen Williams, Josh Allen, Nick Bosa, and even Devin White. Those 4 guys can now drop, and based on what teams really prioritize, based on position or best available talent or whatever, these guys, one or even 2 of these guys might even drop some, not because of their talent level or any situation like that, but just because of scheme fit, positional prioritization, and things like that. You know, you can see Quinnen Williams drop to the Giants and stuff like that, but I'm not going to have it in this situation. It's a perfect world situation, but it could happen. So I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting Kyler Murray, quarterback out of Oklahoma. Now listen, I'm not all for this, but I'll be for it if in that case one of those guys can drop to us. But it can happen, and a lot of rumors are saying it will happen. Cliff Kingsbury is really obsessed with Kyler Murray, so I'm going to have that in this situation. The San Francisco 49ers. Now, they would be dumb to not get Nick Bosa here. Yes, Quinnen Williams is a very good option, but they have their guys already, DeForest Buckner, and they're planning to move Solomon Thomas to the inside. Why would you get another inside guy in Quinnen Williams? I get Quinnen Williams is great, but Nick Bosa is better. In my opinion, Nick Bosa is the best player in the draft. Quinnen Williams is up there too, but as far as positional need and best player available, you have to go Nick Bosa here. You would be pretty stupid not to go Nick Bosa here if you're the San Francisco 49ers and if he's available. Moving on to the New York Jets, I had them selecting Quinnen Williams. Now, they can go Josh Allen here because they are staying in the 3-4, as sources have mentioned. Even though where Greg Williams is there, he's going to be trying out the 3-4 with the New York Jets. So, that being said, Josh Allen does fit that scheme, and he still can go to the Jets. And there's actually a lot of rumors going around that the Jets are interested in Josh Allen, but I'm just going to have them going Quinnen Williams here. If you want to go best player available, that also, they need everything on that defense. They don't have a top tier pass rusher, that's why you can't go Josh Allen, but Quinnen Williams you can put in 5 technique, even though you may not want to leave him there 5 technique. In certain packages he can play 5 technique, but he's mostly a 3 technique guy. Remember, he used to be an edge rusher before he put on all that weight back in Alabama. He used to be an edge rusher. He made the positional change and gained weight to move to the inside, and now he's even more deadly than ever before. You can put him anywhere on that defensive line, so just experiment with Quinnen Williams, and he should be a great pick for the future. We now look at the Oakland Raiders. Now, a lot of people are saying the Oakland Raiders might trade down here. I don't see how you can do that when you have some great defense on the board here that you really can't miss out on. That tier 1 defensive players like Quinnen Williams, Nick Bosa, Josh Allen, and Devin White. Those 4 guys you have to consider getting if you're the Oakland Raiders. You're talking about a team that only had 13 sacks last season. You cannot ignore that. You need to get somebody there on that front 7. It doesn't matter if it's even the middle linebacker spot for Devin White. I know that's a little reach for Devin White, being that he's a raw player and inside linebacker isn't as valued in the NFL. It still would help your defense tremendously. On top of that, you have 2 more first-round picks. This isn't just your only first-round pick in this draft. You have 2 more after that later in this draft that you could address other positions. So if you want to go Devin White here, you can, but I have you drafting Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen does not fit the scheme that the Oakland Raiders run. Paul Gunther runs that 4-3 defensive scheme. Josh Allen really doesn't really fit in that scheme, but you can throw him around in certain areas, certain packages, and he can be pretty good for you. I expect this guy to get at least 8 or 9 sacks his first season in the NFL. Now, a lot of rookies have gotten more than that, like Bradley Chubb, but Bradley Chubb went into a perfect scheme with Von Miller there. That's why he was so successful, and, you know, he's a perfect 3-4 outside linebacker. With Josh Allen, you can put him at weak side linebacker in the 4-3 because he can cover and he can rush the passer. That's probably his best position, is weak side linebacker in the 4-3. Whether 3-4 or 4-3, it has to be the weak side. He just can't play the run as much as I would like him to, so that's the only problem. But you got to add some defensive talent somewhere. Josh Allen is the way to go. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I really don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to get a cornerback with the 5th overall pick, being that they spent too many picks in the past. They had Vernon Hargreaves a couple years ago. They drafted him in the 1st round. Then last year, you drafted 2 cornerbacks in Carlton Davis and MJ Stewart. I don't really know if you want to go cornerback again with an early draft pick, but, you know, if you have to do what you have to do, then go ahead and do it. They can still, I really think they're going to go Devin White here, but let's just say Greedy Williams is chosen here. So Greedy Williams will be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. You put him on, I think immediately he's going to be cornerback number 1. Vernon Hargreaves will take over either the slot spot. He's better in the slot, and put, I don't know, Carlton Davis on the other outside. Vernon Hargreaves just can't play outside. That's something I really knew back when he was drafted. I really knew that he wasn't going to be an outside guy. But, you know, yeah, you draft Greedy Williams and you fix a lot of your problems in the secondary. Moving on, we have my New York Giants. Now, I have a draft scenario for the New York Giants. I'm not going to implement it here in this mock draft, like I said, because I'm working on another one as we speak, so I'll have it there. But the New York Giants, I have them going best player available here, and that is Devin White, inside linebacker out of LSU. Actually, Pat Shurmur said, I believe in a couple days ago, or maybe even yesterday, that he said they are not going positional need in this draft. They are going best player available. That scares me just a little bit. That scares me, but pretty much what defensive talent, obviously the best player available is going to be a defensive player. What defensive player don't we need with the 6th overall spot? I mean, you really can't go wrong with best available talent. It's going to be defense. You know, you really can't go wrong there. So I'm going to have the Giants taking Devin White, inside linebacker out of LSU. With the 7th overall pick, I had the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Jonah Williams, offensive tackle out of Alabama, best offensive lineman in the draft, and he's clearly better than a lot of people say he is. I really don't have too much knocks on Jonah Williams. He could be the best offensive lineman in a lot of these other drafts, and a lot of people are saying, including Daniel Jeremiah, is trying to, like, I don't know, brainwash people into thinking that he's going to be a guard in the NFL. That is not the case whatsoever. He is not a Connor Williams of last year. This guy's going to be a tackle, going to be a great tackle. Jacksonville gets some good value here. Next, we had the Detroit Lions. Now, they fixed a lot of their pass rush things, so I really don't think they're going to go pass rusher with the 8th overall spot. They have guys like Romeo Okwara. They have Devon Kennard on that strong linebacker position. They just got Trey Flowers. They still have Kerry, I believe his name is Kerry Hyde, something like that, Kerry Hyder or something like that. And they have some decent depth, and especially that interior defensive line. You have Damon Harrison, Deshaun Hand, who can play anywhere you really want him to, and on top of that, you have Ashawn Robinson. That defensive line is stacked. You really don't need to go defensive line with the 8th overall pick. Now, I have you guys addressing the secondary, and you guys are going to draft DeAndre Baker, cornerback out of Georgia. I don't really know why DeAndre Baker is falling on a lot of guys' mock drafts. This guy can be the best cornerback in this draft. I actually think it's possible that all top three cornerbacks, we're talking Greedy Williams, DeAndre Baker, and Byron Murphy, can all be drafted within the top 15. It's not out of the question whatsoever. But I have the DeAndre Baker being drafted to the Detroit Lions, 8th overall. With the 9th overall pick, I have the Buffalo Bills addressing the offensive line. Listen, I really don't know why Pro Football Focus is really loving the Ty Neshke move to Buffalo. Maybe because he was on a cheap deal, but he's a 33-year-old swing tackle. So Ty Neshke is not going to be the guy there in Buffalo. You're going to have to draft an offensive lineman. I have you guys drafting Jawaan Taylor, offensive tackle out of Florida. Buffalo really needs to go offensive line here. You can't go DK Metcalf. I don't think the value is there. I think you get Jawaan Taylor. Next up, I have the Denver Broncos selecting with their 10th overall spot. I have them selecting Ed Oliver, defensive tackle out of Houston. I think this will be a great move. You already have some great pass rushers in Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. You're going to keep them around for a while. You have to get better on that interior line, and what better way than to get Ed Oliver on your team? I think it's great value. A lot of people have him going later on in the draft because he's such a raw player. His pass rush moves really are kind of lacking a little bit, but just phenomenal against a run. His pass rush moves are great when it comes to getting beyond the line of scrimmage, getting past the blockers, but actually getting to the quarterback has been a problem for Ed Oliver in the past. But I think a lot of people are having knocks on him for that, but I think he'll be just fine. 10th overall is not a bad spot for Ed Oliver. I have him going to the Denver Broncos here. Next, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. I have them selecting Clelin Ferrell, defensive end out of Clemson. I think this is great value here. Your defensive line is pretty old, especially on the edge rushers. You have a couple guys on there that is getting later on in their 30s, and you need some new, fresh talent in the edge rush. On top of that, I don't really think they signed anybody in free agency as far as edge rushers go, so we'll see what happens there, but I have them selecting Clelin Ferrell, defensive end out of Clemson. Next, I have the Green Bay Packers going TJ Hockenson, tight end out of Iowa. Now, I know it's not the best value here, but where else is really the Green Bay Packers going to go? I'm not as high on Rashan Gary as a lot of people really are, and I just don't think they need to address it right away. They still have Kenny Clark and Mike Daniels in that interior defensive line. I really don't think you need to go Rashan Gary with such a high pick, and I think you have to get yourself a TJ Hockenson because he's not going to be there, nor is Noah Fant going to be there in the first round, at the end of the first round when they do select again with I believe the 30th overall spot. So I suggest you get a good tight end here. You do have Mercedes Lewis and Jimmy Graham. They're older. They're past their prime. Mercedes Lewis was never even that good in the first place. Jimmy Graham is not who he was. So I suggest you go ahead and get yourself a great target there in TJ Hockenson. Aaron Rodgers loves himself some tight ends. So I think it'll be a great fit here at 12. Moving on, we have the Miami Dolphins. I had them selecting I had the Miami Dolphins selecting Dwayne Haskins, quarterback out of Ohio State. Now, this is not with any trade, so I have Dwayne Haskins falling a little bit. I just don't think the Giants will go after Dwayne Haskins because they want to go best player available. He is not the best player available at 6, so I have him dropping all the way to Miami. Miami is in the runnings right now, in the talks right now with Josh Rosen. We'll see what happens with that. Nothing is set in stone yet, so I'm going to have them drafting Dwayne Haskins, quarterback out of Ohio State. Next, I have the Atlanta Falcons. You guys know the Atlanta Falcons love speed. They really stick to what their mascot is, and that's a falcon, the fastest bird ever. You have a bunch of fast players, and this is going a little bit off topic. We have a bunch of fast players on the team. You have Tevin Coleman, you have Devontae Freeman, you have Calvin Ridley, you have Julio Jones, Takaris McKinley, Vic Beasley, Deion Jones. All these guys are extremely fast for their positions, and I think they stick with that and get Rashan Gary, who's a more slick and faster interior player that they can really bring in there, and just imagine Takaris McKinley, Vic Beasley, and Rashan Gary. That would be a great trio there to have on that defensive line. I think they stick with that here. My guess is they're going to draft Rashan Gary out of Michigan. Moving on, I have the Washington Redskins drafting Brian Burns, edge rusher out of Florida State. He's going from being a Seminole to a Redskin, so sticking in that Native American kind of mascot Brian Burns is. But I think it's a great fit here. Match him up. Match them up with those. They lost Preston Smith, so that's a bad thing there. So if you match Brian Burns with Ryan Kerrigan there, that would be fantastic. Brian Burns is going to be coming in as the #1 edge rusher, and he can be the #1 edge rusher there. That would be a great duo to have, almost like a Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, just like kind of undermine just a little bit, just a lower tier of that, but similar situation there for the Redskins. They can draft Brian Burns here, and he could eventually fit into that #1 edge rusher spot. Next, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting Jachai Polite, edge rusher out of Florida. Now, Jachai Polite, to me, doesn't really fit a 4-3 scheme, but they need edge rusher help. They really need some edge rusher help. You got 2 guys on that defensive line that retired, and you need to get younger on that defensive line. I suggest you get yourself an edge rusher of any kind. Let's see who's available at 16, but I have you guys selecting Jachai Polite, edge rusher out of Florida. Next, I had the New York Giants with their newly acquired 17th overall pick from the Cleveland Browns in that OBJ trade, and I have them selecting Byron Murphy, cornerback out of Washington. I think he's going to be a great fit here. I just love Byron Murphy. I know the Giants play a lot of man, but Byron Murphy is just one of those guys that I just can't miss out on. He's a great talent at cornerback and a great value there. More of like a cover 3 corner, really like a cushion, you know, give a lot of space, cover 3 corner, kind of blanket corner. But I really like his play. I really like. He really broke the mold with Washington cornerbacks, where they kind of stuck back a little bit and weren't really aggressive. Byron Murphy is another breed. He's better than Sidney Jones in my opinion, and he's more aggressive, makes plays on the ball, knows how to catch the ball, and I just love Byron Murphy. I think he'd be a great fit here for the Giants. Moving on, I had the Minnesota Vikings select. They have to go offensive line here. They really do. I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting Andre Dillard, offensive tackle out of Washington State. I think Andre Dillard is a lot better than people say he is. I think the Minnesota Vikings will be getting very good value here in Dillard. Moving on, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle out of Clemson. Now, I know they have problems with the wide receiver position, but they got Corey Davis. They still have to wait and see what happens with him. They got Adam Humphries as well. They still have Tajay Sharp. They still have Taywan Taylor. They still have a bunch of guys there. Really, wide receiver isn't really a huge need there. Why would you get DK Metcalf when you have pretty much a DK Metcalf in Corey Davis? I just don't think you should go there. You can go Marquise Brown, aka Hollywood Brown. You can go there here, but you can't miss out on Christian Wilkins. You guys need somebody on that interior defensive line. You guys been looking for the Tennessee Titans have been looking for interior defensive linemen for a while now, and what better way to fix that than Christian Wilkins here, who I believe is a top 15 talent in this draft. He's gonna drop in this draft. I just know he is, because a lot of teams are gonna value other positions than defensive tackle, and you're gonna be getting a fantastic value here with Christian Wilkins. Next, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, all 3 cornerbacks are taken here. They need to go cornerback in this draft. If a cornerback drops, they better take him. But in my mock draft, they don't have any cornerbacks here, so I'm gonna have them getting anybody they can that fits their need, and that's Noah Fant, tight end out of Iowa. They could have gotten TJ Hockenson here, but he went 12 overall, but they need a tight end. They got rid of Jesse James. They don't really have any talent there. They can go another wide receiver here. You got Juju Smith there. Do you really want to get do you want to get a first round wide receiver? Like I said, I don't value wide receivers as highly as other people do, especially in the first round of a draft. I really don't value them as much. I really like to see other positions. I know tight end is completely different because tight end is really not valued, but Noah Fant can be a fantastic addition to your team there. Imagine just having a tight end, a really good tight end and a really good wide receiver as compared to 2 really good wide receivers and no good tight end. So I just kind of thought with that philosophy, and I had the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting Noah Fant. Next, I have the Seattle Seahawks. I have them selecting an edge rusher here. That's a Montez Sweat, edge rusher out of Mississippi State. Now, you guys know I love me some Montez Sweat, but to me, the more and more I watch his film, it's just really underwhelming. He never took over a game. He's just never been that guy, and to draft him in the top 10, to draft him even in the top 15 is really saying that you really want this guy to be, you know, your #1 edge rusher starting, and, you know, it's hard to put Montez Sweat in that conversation, so I'm going to have Seattle Seahawks selecting him here at 20 or 21. So I have Montez Sweat dropping quite a few, but it's good value here to develop a guy like Sweat. And the Seattle Seahawks have been a team, no matter what position, they draft these guys and they turn them into good players, no matter what position, offensive line, defensive line, secondary, wide receivers, you name it. They just know how to coach their players. I think Montez Sweat is best fit with the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, next I have the Baltimore Ravens. I have them selecting a wide receiver. They need to, and what better way than go at 22 and get the best wide receiver in the draft. Well, I wouldn't want to say best wide receiver, but everybody else is saying the best wide receiver in this draft, and that's DK Metcalf, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. You really need a big target, and you need a fast target. You know, DK Metcalf is the best of both worlds. He reminds me of just like a Mike Wallace, a guy that doesn't really run routes, but, you know, the Baltimore Ravens have been successful with Mike Wallace on that team before, so they can do it again with DK Metcalf. So I have them drafting him here. Next, I have the Houston Texans. They need to go offensive line here. Is there really any tackles worth in a first-round pick here? Probably not. Maybe Yadni Kajus. It'll be a little bit of a reach. A lot of mock drafts are having him in the third round, second round, so it's a little bit of a reach. I think Yadni Kajus is a very good fit there, since he's a very athletic tackle and he can keep up with where Deshaun Watson is going, since he's very mobile. But I just have them going in a different direction here. I have them going Garrett Bradbury, interior lineman out of NC State. Yes, they need tackles more than they need interior help, but they need offensive linemen in general, and you have to go somewhere in the offensive line. Garrett Bradbury has been really lighting it up so far in the combine. I think he played in the pro day. I think he played in the Senior Bowl. But as far as that goes, he's really been rising in stock lately, and Houston should go after him here. Next, I have the second first-round pick that the Oakland Raiders have, and I have them drafting A.J. Brown, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. They got Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's 30 years old, and they have nobody. I'm talking nobody on that wide receiver core. Absolutely nobody. So you have to. This is one of those situations where yes, you have a number one wide receiver, but you probably should go with a first-round pick, wide receiver with a first-round pick, because you have another one after that as well. So go ahead and get yourself the wide receiver out of Ole Miss, the second wide receiver out of Ole Miss that could be better than the first, could be better than DK Metcalf in AJ Brown. Next up, I had the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them going secondary here. I had them selecting Nasir Adderley, free safety out of Delaware. They really need some safety help. Malcolm Jenkins is getting older as well. On top of that, I forgot who they have at the free safety spot, but they need to get younger. They need to have more playmakers there. Cornerback is still a big need for them, but I have them going free safety here with Nasir Adderley. I had the Indianapolis Colts selecting Zach Allen, defensive end out of Boston College. I think he's a fantastic fit here in Indianapolis. I don't know what it is. I just see Zach Allen in a Colts uniform, but I think it'll be great. That defense is really molding up. You know, it's hard to believe a couple years ago the Colts defense were absolutely terrible, but now they've really built their pieces together. Their secondary looks very good. Their front seven looks very good. You go ahead and draft yourself a very good, very underrated edge rusher in Zach Allen, and just make that defense a lot better. Next, I have the Oakland Raiders. I have them getting Amani Oruwariye. It's hard for me to say that name. Cornerback out of Penn State. I really like this guy. I like him better than Trayvon Mullen. I like him better than that other cornerback. And there's another cornerback in the talks that possibly being better than Amani. But I really like Amani Oruwariye. Very long, very lanky. Can keep up with anybody in man coverage, plays very good press. I mean, he can do anything Amani can. So I can see him sneaking up into the first round, especially with a team that has multiple first round picks, like in Oakland Raiders, who have 3 in this case. So I can see them going after Amani here. They might just do that at the end of the first round. So I like the value here. The Los Angeles Chargers, I have them going interior defense here. Dexter Lawrence, defensive tackle out of Clemson. Very good value here, being that, you know, there are a couple good defensive tackles already taken. And so, you know, it's pretty deep in this draft as far as defensive lineman talent. So Dexter Lawrence is fantastic value for the Los Angeles Chargers. Next, I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting safety Taylor Rapp out of Washington. They got rid of Eric Berry. They brung in Tyrann Mathieu, and then they could bring in another safety here with Taylor Rapp. I really like Taylor Rapp. Very hard-hitting safety, a good box safety. I mean, I think he'd be fantastic duo with Tyrann Mathieu. On top of that, a guy like Steve Spagnuolo loves utilizing safeties. I mean, he puts safeties everywhere. I know because I'm a Giants fan. He's a new defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to use safeties. Taylor Rapp is a good option. Would be Steve Spagnuolo's dream at safety. Moving on, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting offensive guard Chris Lindstrom out of Boston College. They need to get a lot better on that interior offensive line. They need help on that offensive line just a little bit. Their tackles are all right, but they need help on the interior, and I have them selecting Chris Lindstrom here at the end of the first round. Next up, I have the last but not least, I had the Los Angeles Rams selecting Devin Bush, inside linebacker out of Michigan. I think he's rising and falling on a lot of mock drafts. I know that he's like borderline second round to first round talent. A lot of people have him being drafted all the way to Cincinnati at 11. I don't think that's possible, but he may just fall all the way down to the 31st spot where the Rams are, and they need some linebacker help. Believe it or not, they really do need some linebacker help. So go ahead and draft yourself Devin Bush, inside linebacker out of Michigan. And last but not least, I have the New England Patriots, and I just see them making a New England Patriots type move here and drafting Daniel Jones, quarterback out of Duke. He's another guy. I just see Daniel Jones being a Patriot. I don't know why. They just love taking these quarterbacks. They love developing them, and then they love trading them. So who knows? Maybe Daniel Jones will be developed and traded, or maybe he's the next quarterback that they want to groom up to be the successor of Tom Brady. I think he can do that. I don't think Daniel Jones is ready to start within a couple years from now, and what better way than having being groomed up by the best quarterback to ever live in Tom Brady. So good situation there. I have the Patriots selecting Daniel Jones out of Duke. You may have noticed I don't have Drew Lock in the first round. I just don't think Drew Lock should be drafted in the first round. I don't even think Daniel Jones should be drafted in the first round. I just see that being a Patriots type move there. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below of my mock draft. I know it's a little long video. I apologize for that, guys. Hopefully you guys stuck around to the end of the video. Make sure you guys leave a like if you guys enjoyed it. Comment your own potential picks for the Giants, or even any team for that matter. Leave a like. Subscribe if you guys are new. Make sure to ring that notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next video.